Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we're taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Spider-Man Homecoming Tech Suit Spider-Man. And here's a really quick look at the box. It's the standard oversized Mezco 112 Collective box. Here on the center it has a nice little Spider-Man Homecoming logo. On the side of the box you get a little Tech Suit style spider logo, and then on the back we get a look at all the accessories that it comes with, and then we get some promo shots that we've probably all seen. So as always, the box is collector friendly. It does look nice, but in my opinion these boxes are just too big. Okay, so now here's Spidey out of the box, and my first impression of the figure is that he looks very nice. He has a very clean look to him, and the body is a lot smaller than I expected. It's smaller than previous Spider-Man figures, so I think that works well for the Tom Holland version of Spider-Man. But I do have some concerns, especially with this material that they used on the abdomen. If you leave him in any kind of crunched position for an extended period of time, that stuff is really going to get damaged. And that kind of happened to my classic Spider-Man. As you could see, it started to split a little bit, and it just really looks bad. So that does kind of suck, and I do have that concern when it comes to this new Tech Suit Spider-Man. But he does look really nice. So one thing I love that they did was made it so that the spider and the lines on here are actually, I don't know if you want to say sculpted, or I'm not sure how to describe it really, but you could actually feel them. It's not just flat on the material there. So I think that's a really cool detail, and it just makes the figure look really nice. You have like the circuitry on the part of the costume there. And one concern I had is that it was going to look saggy in the crotch area, but it's not really a concern once you start messing with it and posing it. And then down here you have some sculpted details on the lower leg. That all looks really nice. Here you have the sculpted web shooter. And yeah, just overall, the figure just looks really clean. And the head sculpt looks great. And the head sculpt has, you know, texture to it. It's not just flat. You could definitely see some texture. I was a little surprised by how much the eyes kind of pop out from the head. I thought it'd be like a little more flush, but it's not a big deal at all. And then one thing that you need to be really careful about with this figure is the neck. It does have movement at the neck, but every time that I mess with it, I'm really concerned that it's going to rub against the material and chip away at it, because again, that's something that happened on my classic version. I learned a lot of lessons with that classic version on how to handle future Spider-Man figures, so I think that's something you need to be aware of when you're moving this figure around, that neck joint might rub against that material and damage it, so be very careful. But overall, I do love the details on this figure. Everything looks really, really nice and crisp. Let's check out the spider logo on the back there. And the stitching is hidden really well on this figure because it kind of just blends in with the design of the costume. There's the stitching right there. It's pretty much in the same place that it always is for Mezco figures, but it's really hard to see, so that is very nice. They did a good job there. And then you have the little spider like web cartridges on the side that sit on top of that rubber overlay stuff. And yeah, I don't know, I really wish they'd come up with something different for this you know, this kind of design. I think they should maybe come up with like a thicker type of plastic. Ideally it would just all be cloth, you know. I think that would be really cool, but I kind of get that would be a little tough, so they're trying to do something a little bit easier, and I'm okay with that. But I just wish that this material was thicker or more durable or something, you know, because it kind of sucks to get these expensive figures and then have the fear that that's going to crack. Same kind of situation with the elbow joints. If you leave this figure like this, it's going to damage that, so be aware. But yeah, this is a really nice looking figure, probably the best looking Tech Suit Spider-Man that we've seen from any company, I'd say. I'm not going to say that it's the best figure quite yet. I'm going to give it some time, but it's definitely the best looking. And again, a lot of people have a concern about the crotch area, but once you start messing with it, you really don't notice the sagginess. I think it would have been a little less apparent if the costume went a little lower, and I think it would look a little less saggy, if that makes sense. But yeah, once you start messing with the figure, it kind of goes away. Or if you pose them in like a walking kind of pose, you're not gonna have any sagging in the crotch area. So yeah, overall the figure does look very nice. And for accessories, he does come with all the essential Spider-Man hands, including a pair of fists. And then he has a set of open wall crawling hands, and these two hands are a little bit different from each other. The one on the right is pretty much just a typical wall crawling hand, and the one on the left is an open hand, but it's just a little bit different than the opposite hand. And you can see the web line shooters in the palm of his hands. I think that's pretty dope. And then next up we have a set of thwip hands. Then only for his right side he comes with a web line holding hand. And then he does come with a couple of web effects, but I was a little surprised because we get a little bit less than we have with other Spider-Man figures from Mezco. Usually we get a bunch of different webbings, and in this case we only get 3. So that's okay because you could always use some of the webs from the other Spider-Man figures. And what we have here is, first off, we have this one here that's just kind of like a short blast with like a grabbing type of effect at the end. And then here we just have like the ball effect. It's kind of like a striking kind of webbing that he would use to kind of hit somebody or something. And then we have this one here that has like a bendy wire. So that is very nice. And I really like how Mezco does the web shooting for Spider-Man. The way it works is that you could just stick the web accessory into the hand and it kind of sinks in there. So it all looks flush. But the one thing that sucks with this Spider-Man is that the web shooters cannot rotate on the arm. So no matter what, it's not really going to look right. It's going to be very hard to get him into a proper web shooting pose. You know, you could do it like this with his hand to the side, and then that makes sense because the web shooter then lines up with the web. But if you want to have him like shooting the web like that or swinging or something, it's not really going to look 100% right because the web shooter is off to the side and there's no way to shift it around. I mean, I guess you can shift like that at the upper bicep there, but yeah, you know, it kind of is what it is. I mean, that's okay. It's not a big deal, but it is something that should be noted. And then next up we have his web wings, and these are really cool. It just has a clip that you could clip around his waist. And you kind of want to be careful with it because then the material kind of starts to slide around. But yeah, it sticks right on there, and look at that. That is really cool. It's always cool to get some new accessories for your Spider-Man figures, and you can probably stick that onto the other Mezco Spider-Man figures if you'd like. I know he's had that in the comics a few times or something similar. But yeah, I think that's really cool. Check that out. And then it does have a hole right here so you could plug it into the Mezco stand. Of course, it comes with the standard Mezco base, and these things do look nice. I have mentioned in the past that I think they're a little big and they take up a bunch of shelf space, but the one thing that really drives me crazy about them is how fast they get scratched. As soon as you take them out of the packaging and touch it, it has marks on it, and that just drives me crazy. I don't know what's up with that. But in this case, this does look pretty cool, and you do have the Spider-Man Homecoming logo in the center, and you can feel the letters. It's not flat on there. It kind of just sits on top, and you are able to pose the figure on the peg, or you could pull that out and use the articulated posing arm. And here is Spidey on that posing arm with the web wings on, and I think that looks pretty cool actually, so I might display him like that. And then he does come with the magnetic piece that you could clip onto the figure, and it just on him like that, clips around his waist, and then you could display him onto a magnetic surface. And it's a pretty strong magnet, so you don't have to worry about him falling if you decide to display him like that. So I do like that, and I think that all the Mezco figures, all the Mezco Spider-Man figures do come with that same magnetic clip, so that is very cool. You could have your Spider-Man figures magnetized to a bunch of different surfaces, and you could have them all over like that, so that's really cool. And he does come with 3 different heads, and the only differences in the heads is the eyes, and I think they do look nice, but for some reason I feel like the eyes are a little bit uneven or something on this head. And one thing I thought was interesting on the white of the eyes, there's actually some detail in there. There's like black dots, I guess. I mean, that's the best way you could describe it. There's a little like kind of like the same texture as the costume. So I thought that was a little interesting. And usually Spider-Man eyes are just white, you know, so that's kind of cool and different that they did that here. But yeah, on this one, I don't know, I feel like the eyes are uneven or something. Then next up we have these ones that have a little bit more black around the eyes. And again, I don't know, for some reason the eyes look a little uneven on this one too. But I didn't really notice it when I was just messing with the figure, but zoomed in with the camera here, it just kind of looks like they're a little bit uneven or something. I don't know, let me know, am I tripping out or what? But yeah, check that out, the eyes look a little bit uneven, right? I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, these do look a little cool too. They look a little bit more aggressive or something. So I do like that a lot. And then lastly, we have these ones, and as you could see, there's barely just a little bit of white right there in the center. And again, these look a little bit more focused or aggressive or something like that. And you know, I don't know, are the eyes off? What the hell? I feel like the eyes are off. I feel like they're not even or something. I don't know, that's gonna kind of drive me crazy. But you know, just looking at it in hand, in person, it doesn't look that bad or anything, but just zoomed in with the camera, it just kind of looks like, I don't know, like they're not even. Again, let me know in the comments, are the eyes fine on all 3 of these? Or do they look a little bit off? He does not come with an unmasked Tom Holland head, but if you have the Homecoming homemade suit Spider-Man, then you are able to put that Tom Holland head onto this body, and that actually looks really nice, and it pops right on without any problem. And for a couple of quick size comparisons, here we have Spidey next to the Mezco 112 Collective Classic Spider-Man and the Mezco 112 Collective Homemade Suit Spider-Man. And as you can see, he's pretty much the same size as the Homemade Suit Spidey, so I think that works out perfectly. And then he's a lot smaller than the comic book classic version, and I think that also works out for a teenage Tom Holland version of Spider-Man. So I think the size is pretty nice. And now here we have him with the Mezco 112 Collective Miles Morales Spider-Man and the Mezco 112 Collective Black Suit Spider-Man. And again, he's much smaller than both of those figures. And now here we have him next to the Marvel Legends Tiger Stripe Wolverine and the NECA Planet of the Apes Caesar. And then now here he is next to the Marvel Legends movie Ant-Man and Marvel Legends Infinity War Captain America. And as you could see, scale-wise, he kind of could fit, you know, maybe you could kind of fudge him in there if you want, but aesthetically and style-wise, he's going to clash. So, you know, it's not really going to work. I mean, it would kind of look off if you had him in there with your Marvel Legends figures. But as far as scale goes, I guess it kind of works. I guess he's a little bit bigger than he should be. But if you want, you could probably fudge him into your Marvel Legends. And speaking of Marvel Legends, here he is with the Marvel Legends Infinity War Spider-Man and with the Marvel Legends Homecoming Spider-Man. And as you can see, he's not much bigger than them. So as I said, it kind of fits scale-wise with Marvel Legends. And next up, here he is next to the Mafex Homecoming Spider-Man and the Mafex Comic Book Spider-Man. And then now here we have him with the NECA movie Michelangelo and the Mezco 112 Collective movie Black Panther. And then now here he is with the Mezco 112 Collective Daredevil and Mezco 112 Collective X-Force Deadpool. And now here we have him with the Marvel Legends Vulture figure. And the Vulture figure is a little big, so this actually works out perfectly. And to finish off the size comparisons, here we have him with the Marvel Legends Pizza Spider-Man and Marvel Legends Bucky Cap. Okay, for the articulation, I think that he pretty much has everything that he needs. The only thing I'd say he's missing is a butterfly joint at the shoulder, but that's the case with all the Mezco Spider-Man figures, so it's not really a big surprise, but I think it would have benefited from the butterfly joint, and that's true for all the Mezco Spider-Man figures. I think they'd all be improved if they had that butterfly joint. But anyways, let's get into it here. So his head is able to move side to side. You've got a little bit of tilt to it that's pretty nice. He can look up to about right there, and then he could look down to about right there. And he does have movement where the neck meets the torso and where the neck meets the head, but I'm really only counting where the neck meets the head because you can't really safely move the neck at the lower part because you're probably going to damage the material if you mess with it too much. So if you're braver than I am, you could probably get a little bit more movement out of the head and neck area, but I'm really not going to push it because I'm afraid to damage that material. And then for the torso, you do have a pretty nice ab crunch, but again, you're going to want to be careful because you're going to damage this stuff, man. I don't know. But anyways, the range is pretty good, but do not leave him posed like that. And then you could bring it back to about right there. It goes back a lot. Check that out. And then you have some side to side that's pretty nice. That's pretty good. So definitely some good movement in the torso. And Mezco's done a really good job of improving the amount of movement on the torso for their figures. This has some really good range, and then the Gomez figure had some really nice range too. And then for the arms, you could probably bring them up to about right there. Bring it back to about right there. You could bring them out to the side. Then you have the upper bicep swivel that's in there somewhere. Yeah, upper bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. The legs. His legs are actually really nice. You could bring them out to the side. You probably can't do the splits because of the material. But yeah, you could bring them out to the side. You could bring them forward. Pretty nice amount. You can really get his legs up high. So that's nice. And then you have the upper thigh swivel, double jointed knees, and then the ankles, which can swivel around. You have some nice rocking to them. Look at that. Ooh, look at that's really good. And then you get forward to about there, up to right there. So, like I said, the articulation is very nice on this figure, but some of it kind of stresses me out trying to use it, you know, because this material on the torso, it's really not going to hold up. I just know it, man. And it kind of just bums me out when I'm messing with it, because even though it looks really good and the articulation's really nice, it's just stressful to handle, you know? Okay, so overall, I do like this figure a lot. I think that Mezco did a really nice job with it. I think the overall look and design is very well done. I like all the accessories that he comes with, especially those web wings. That's something new and different we haven't seen before, so that's exciting. And I do like the fact that he has a bunch of articulation, but it does kind of suck that I'm hesitant to push it to the limits because of that material. I really wish that Mezco would come up with some other kind of material or something just more durable, even if it's the same style, because I'm okay with the way it looks, but I just don't feel like it's gonna hold up, and it kind of stresses me out when I'm messing with this figure, because I don't want to pinch that material in the you know, the ab crunch or the shoulders. I just feel that if it gets pinched in there, it's gonna get damaged, and I just feel like that stuff is not very durable, and my classic Spider-Man is kind of proof of that, so I'm not just assuming that it's not gonna hold up. I have evidence that it's probably not gonna hold up, especially if I handle it a lot. So that's something you have to keep in mind. So if you decide to get this figure based on this review, I highly suggest that you don't pose this figure in any kind of like crazy Spider-Man pose that's gonna have the material crunching anywhere. If that material is bunched up anywhere, it's probably not gonna be good for you if you leave it like that for an extended period of time. But I think the figure is fun to have and, you know, mess around with a little bit, take some pictures, and then maybe put them on the shelf in a vanilla pose or even back in the box, because you know, the boxes are collector friendly, so it's nice to be able to put the figures back in there to keep them safe. But if you want a Spider-Man that you're going to want to mess with constantly and pose in all kinds of different Spider-Man poses, you're probably going to want to look at the Mafex one, or maybe even the Marvel Legends one if you want, you know, something a little less expensive. But, you know, as far as the overall look, I think the figure looks amazing. I just don't think that the fun factor is there, because you're going to stress out a lot about damaging that material. That's just my opinion, but overall I am very happy to have the figure, and I think he's going to look really cool next to the other Mezco MCU figures. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Huge shout out to Sculptomotoys for sending this out to me so fast. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate you guys over there. If you haven't checked them out, please make sure to check them out. I'll leave a link to their Instagram and their website in the description below. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and thank you very much. Peace.